I never expected a single afternoon to change the way I saw myself, the people around me, and even the direction of my future. Yet, when I walked into that room on a quiet day in Seattle, Washington, everything truly shifted in ways I couldn't have imagined. My name is Emily Parker, and I had always thought of myself as ordinary. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, in a loving but modest family. My parents taught me about honesty, kindness, and resilience. After college, I moved north to Seattle to work in community outreach programs, something I'd been passionate about for years. Helping people gave me meaning, but somewhere along the way, I had lost a piece of myself. My days were predictable, my routines unshaken. I often felt as though I was walking through life on autopilot. That particular Saturday started like any other. The skies were gray, the air damp with the familiar mist of the Pacific Northwest. I had been invited by my friend Rachel Thompson to attend a local community event hosted in the historic Pioneer Square district. At first I hesitated. I wasn't in the mood for crowds or chatter. But Rachel insisted it would be just the thing to pull me out of my slump. She was persuasive, as always, and I agreed to join her. The building itself was an old brick structure, restored into a cultural center. As I stepped inside, I expected to find the usual setup. Tables of brochures, smiling volunteers, maybe some booths lined with handmade crafts. But instead, I felt something shift almost immediately. The air was charged, filled with laughter, the faint smell of coffee, and the strumming of an acoustic guitar from a corner stage. Rachel greeted me warmly and handed me a small cup of tea. "Emily, this isn't just another event," she whispered with a grin. "You'll see." At first, I wandered around, politely engaging with vendors and admiring local art displays. It was all pleasant but nothing life-changing, until I reached the far end of the hall. There, tucked behind a modest wooden door, was a room I hadn't noticed before. The sign above it read, "Stories that connect us." Curiosity tugged at me. Something about those words made my heart stir. I hesitated, then pushed the door open. Inside, I found a small gathering of people seated in a circle. A cozy lamp lit the center, and a woman stood at the front, sharing a deeply personal story about her struggles with loss and how she found strength again. The room was quiet except for her voice, but the energy was powerful. Every person listened intently, some nodding, some wiping tears. It wasn't just storytelling. It was healing. I took a seat in the back, unnoticed at first. My chest tightened as I realized the vulnerability in the room. These people weren't hiding behind smiles or polite conversations. They were raw, honest, and open. One by one, different people shared. A young man spoke about battling anxiety. An older woman described rebuilding her life after retirement. And a college student shared the courage it took to speak in front of strangers. Their words hit me harder than I expected. I had spent years listening to others as part of my job, but I had never truly shared my own story. Then, something surprising happened. The facilitator, a kind-looking man named David Collins, turned to me with a gentle smile. "You're new here, aren't you?" I nodded, suddenly nervous. "Would you like to share something?" "No pressure. Only if you feel ready." My instinct was to shake my head, to retreat. But then, as if guided by something stronger, I heard myself say, "Yes, I think I would." The room grew still as I stood. My hands trembled slightly as I introduced myself. I spoke about my work, how fulfilling yet exhausting it had become. I admitted how lonely I often felt, despite being surrounded by people every day. And then, almost without planning it, I confessed something I had rarely told anyone, that I had lost faith in myself. The words tumbled out in pieces, shaky but honest. And when I finished, silence lingered for a moment. Then, one by one, people smiled, nodded, and clapped softly. A warmth spread through me. Acceptance, understanding, connection. Rachel found me afterward, her eyes glistening. "See, I told you this was different." She was right. Walking into that room had shifted something deep inside me. It was as if a weight I didn't even know I was carrying had been lifted. For the first time in years I felt seen. The following weeks, I returned to the group. Each session, I listened, shared, and grew closer to these strangers who quickly became friends. Seattle no longer felt like a lonely city. It became a place of community. I learned to open up, to embrace vulnerability as a strength instead of a weakness. Months later, I was asked to help lead a session myself. Standing in that same room, looking out at new faces filled with curiosity and hesitation, I remembered the day I first walked in. I smiled, knowing that perhaps today, for someone else, everything might change too.